All right, we're trying this round three. So, for some reason, the live isn't showing up for Mallory, so she's not able to join at all because she can't see it. So, hopefully, this time it will work. So, we'll give her a couple seconds to come on, or a couple minutes. I'll give her more than a couple seconds. And then we'll see if she joins. Yay! Okay, she's here. Awesome. All right, let's bring her on. Awesome. All right, we'll give her 1 second to pop on here. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, I was like, what's happening?
Okay, I just talked really awkwardly for 5 minutes.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, the internet is really poor here. Like when I was on Wi-Fi, it said like no connection, no connection, like
Um,
nothing. I don't know if it's just Instagram requires more of a connection or what, because I could still use my laptop. I'm just not able to see live. So
oh,
I don't
that
know, but we
I
can
bet
try.
maybe it is that. It might be that the lives require better connection. I don't know. Um, Either way, I'm glad you're
Yeah,
here now. So that we could
me
get.
too.
Yeah, before you hopped on, I was telling our listeners about how amazing you are and that you have two businesses. And I'm really excited to chat with you as a fellow entrepreneur. So, yeah,
Oh,
and getting to learn from you.
thank you
Um,
so much.
yeah, you're welcome. So, why don't we start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, your story, and how you came into the entrepreneurship world?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Mallory Graham. Maiden name is Rose. So I'm an Anishinaabeg from Curve Lake First Nation. So my nation is the Anishinaabeg Nation. So that's what Anishinaabeg means. Um, my parents, they had multiple businesses when I was growing up. So I've always been very familiar with starting a business and working really hard and the benefits of a entrepreneur lifestyle. So I knew that was kind of an attractive option if I wanted to do that. After high school, I went to business school in Waterloo. So I went to Wilfrid Laurier and I majored in marketing and branding there. When I was in fourth year, I realized that I wanted to start my own business. I had no idea what that looked like. I just knew the co-op positions that I did sucked. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start my own business because I can't work for someone else.
Yeah.
Um, so I had no idea what it was gonna look like, but I started a few side businesses right like while I was still in university that just kind of tapered off. They kind of flopped. I didn't put like I wasn't super invested in them. I just kind of tried things out. Um, and I guess being away from home and being fully immersed in an urban setting, I had sort of a spiritual awakening, I guess you could say, or I reconnected with my self identity because I felt so lost being away from home and a lot of my friends and classmates and my professors they hadn't known any Indigenous people before, so it made me realize that there's a huge gap in like knowledge and understanding Indigenous people and the culture and stuff. So that experience, that entire experience, um, and the attempt to sort of fill that gap was where my business started. So that's kind of the quick story.
Yeah. So I know you have two businesses. So which business started from that?
Right. So they kind of both started from that because when I was still in school, I tried to do I tried to do like marketing consulting. I tried to do graphic design and web design and stuff with not very much experience at all. I was just like, oh, like this is cool. I'm going to try it and I'm going to take on clients for very little money just because I thought it was so fun.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like I guess they kind of both happened at the same time because as I took on positions working for other people and then started building tribal trade, which used to be called Rosie's Trading Post, I kind of just like was building my expertise in marketing. So I was able to take on clients to sort of mix things up and offer services and make a little extra cash on the side while I was like building my own business. So yeah, there wasn't really like this happened and that happened. There's been a lot of like continuous growth as well as like hopping back and forth.
Yeah, that's awesome though. It's so, I feel like that's very entrepreneurial like, is that you kind of want to dabble in a couple of things too, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can support each other, which it sounds like yours really did. Um,
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes they support each other, sometimes they butt heads and like,
yeah,
hey, which one gets the attention, the
yeah.
love.
Awesome. Well, coming from someone who also designed their own website, your website is freaking amazing. So actually, both of them are amazing. I was
Oh, thank you.
looking through both of them, and I just like I'm so impressed by, like you said, the graphic design, which you said you didn't have a lot of experience in, but you look like you're a professional. Well, you probably are now. I would say your stuff look like it's so good.
Thank
And
you.
how did you become like so creative and just like, was it just sort of natural for you to have these skills with your online branding and just how pretty everything is?
Well, first of all, thank you. That's very kind. The funny thing is that when I was in high school, I was very passionate about art. So it was a huge like coin toss between going to design school and going to business school. I was like on the fence of applying to like Parsons graphic design in New York, and
Cool.
yeah, so like it was like, oh, I really love art and I love business. Like, what am I going to do? Probably make more money in business. So let's go with that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it came down to. Um, so yeah, but I intuitively chose marketing as my major in university when I was in business school because it's a very creative discipline in like all four functional areas of business. So it was kind of natural. Like it was a mix between creativity and art and business is to do marketing.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess in terms of like growth and improving your skills for online marketing and branding, I continuously listen to podcasts and YouTube videos every day to continue to learn because everything is changing. So the good thing about that is if for people who are listening who feel like they aren't good at it, like it changes so fast that if you have no experience with marketing, you can become an expert really quick because the people that are experts and have like 10, 20 years of experience, like that experience that is older than 5 years is irrelevant. So it's like anything in addition to like 5 years is kind of like who cares?
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah, that's great though for people, especially like so many people are starting new businesses, especially right now when they're starting to
Mhm.
test their career choice.
Yeah. Keeps
Uh,
you on your toes.
yeah, that's crazy. Awesome. Good to know though. So throughout both of your businesses, I noticed that your Indigenous roots are clearly very important to you. So can you tell us, well, you sort of already told us why that was because it was sort of the reason that it kind of like launched your businesses was because you saw that gap. But maybe can you talk about why it's so important for you to kind of fill that gap?
Yeah, for sure. Um, but just like kind of to add on that, so it ex so being Indigenous to me and whoever like whatever your background is and your heritage is it explains so much of who you are and what you believe in. So myself personally, I'm very proud of who I am and my heritage and stuff. And I think that people should always connect with their lineage because it's amazing what you'll discover and like learn about yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess it's affected my business. Like I kind of was thinking of it a little bit differently when you asked that question.
Yeah, no,
But
however
so
you want. for it.
Okay. So I was thinking that it's affected, like my Indigenous heritage has affected my business extremely positively because, and this is like a marketing lesson as well for anyone who's kind of listening for marketing advice, um, is that people buy from people. They don't buy from like big companies and big brands and stuff. They buy from like people. Um, so that's why, as business owners, you need to show people who you are, because then you will attract those people who connect with you on a personal level. And so, with whatever you're putting out there, they will learn to love you and be loyal to you based on who you are. And then you don't need to really like push things. You're just like, here's who I am. And then those people that connect with that, they will come and be like, just want to buy anything that, or yeah, like subscribe or whatever to anything that you're offering.
Yeah, and I feel like it would probably be a lot more natural too, and like authentic and easier to sell when you feel like you're selling from yourself, right? Rather than trying to
Exactly.
cover something up or just hiding a certain part of you too.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good point. Mhm.
Just, yeah, from my own experience too.
Yeah.
um, So I was watching a few of your YouTube videos and they were really interesting. One of them was talking about how Indigenous people no longer speak their native language. And I was like very in shock as to why that was. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit more for those who haven't watched that video yet.
Ooh. Okay. Um, so I created this video because I was asked a lot why I didn't speak my native language and why like the language doesn't exist. Like we're like I just got asked that question so many times. Um, and I guess a lot of people just like don't they don't like the education gap, like I said before, is really strong. Um, and in the video, I say this much more gracefully, but I'll just get right to the point here. So the first reason is that Anishinaabe or any other Indigenous language was illegal. So when the settlers came over to Canada and basically colonized the country, they said like to the native people, like you will go to jail if you speak your native language, like you're not allowed. And when they were sent to schools and stuff, like the kids would get abused if they spoke the language. So when, and like so many people don't know that because the country, like it's a really dark topic. And
Mm,
in the video I try really really hard to say it as positively as possible, because like our brand is very like positive and like it's not like a fun thing to talk about, but it's important. So I try to like talk about it while staying as like open and happy as possible. But yeah, so that's the first reason, is because like we weren't allowed. It was like you didn't want to go to jail, you didn't want to get like punished, so you didn't speak it.
mhm.
And like a lot of people, like the government doesn't say that, it's all hidden information, but that's what the truth of the history is. And then the second reason is that, so all those parents that went through that and experienced that, um, they had so much like trauma and they were like scared to teach their kids that they didn't teach their kids. So like this is like my mom and my dad, like their parents had like their aunts and stuff experience this and they did not then teach their kids because it was like it was so like they were so like brainwashed that this is a bad thing, like you do not do this. So they were just scared shitless to actually speak it in their own house, to their kids. And then the third reason is that even though now kids can learn the language in school and like you can learn it in university and stuff, um, it's so like there's so few people that like, because languages are like they follow a networking effect and you need people to speak it. Um, they like people don't actually have a desire or motivation to learn something when there's no one to converse with. So now like that's kind of the third reason of why it's like why there's no comeback for the language kind of thing. So yeah, that's my quick explanation.
Yeah. Oh my God, like so important to highlight that because you're right. A lot of people might not know that, and it's just another big example of colonization and some of the negative
Yeah.
of it and how that can trickle down. So, yeah, very eye opening for like
Hmm.
you. And like you said, it just gives when you can tell people this, even though it's not like it's not a nice thing to learn about, but it's the truth. And the more that
Hmm.
you can share it, the more people can understand rather than just kind of a, just listening to what the government or the higher power is saying and believing that as truth because it's not always the truth. As
Right.
we're learning a lot about lately, or at least I'm learning about a lot. The other video that you had that I think our viewers might find interesting or want to know about was how to address, it was called How to Address Native People. So maybe if you can just give us a little like brief synopsis of that, because I know that there's been a lot of ambiguity around that and people aren't really sure how to address Indigenous people. So,
Yeah, for sure. So again, I created this video because I got that question a lot. So what do I call you? Aboriginal, is that correct? Or First Nations? Like, what should I say about you? Um, and I'll leave it to you guys to go to the YouTube channel and watch the full thing to see the details. But the general message of it is that people, like different people, prefer different names. So there's different groups of people that prefer those different names in the title. And like some people actually do prefer to be called Indian. And so it just like explains what about a little bit about that.
mhm.
And the second point there is that it's always best to ask if you're like really concerned about insulting someone, um, because some Native people are more serious about it, and others are more like myself. I'm more like laid back. I just care that people are being like respectful, and that's kind of the third thing is that it's most important is the most important thing is what your intentions are. So if you're intending to be respectful, then that comes through loud and clear when you're talking to people, obviously. So that's kind of what's the general gist or takeaway from the video. But you can go watch it if you want to know the real details.
Yes, yeah, I encourage everyone to because yeah, you went into a lot of detail, different name, and it's just yeah, it was important because it's a history lesson too. Um,
Mhm.
I think oh yeah, so I wanted to shift gears a little bit now and jump into more about wellness. So
Yeah.
one question we received was how is wellness defined by Indigenous people?
Yeah. So um, I guess like I don't want to speak for all Indigenous people. I can only kind of speak for my personal opinions and like what I've been taught from my elders, and my own life experiences. But my take on wellness is that all like states of being and like so like your spiritual wellness and your mental wellness and your physical and emotional wellness, like those are all connected. So even though so when you were sending me one of the questions about like the wellness industry or something, and I
Yeah.
was like, what is it? So I googled the wellness industry, like what like Wikipedia defines as wellness, and it's all like very like physical, like that's what is like defined as wellness is heavily on physical. um, Whereas for Indigenous people and our culture, it's so much more than that. Like it's very much like a well-rounded circle of like your mind, body, and spirit connection and how they're dependent and connected to each other like so much in everything that you do. And there's even like science that proves that there's like that connection. um, but like I guess the Indigenous teachings really instill that importance of those connections. And I guess there's kind of more of an emphasis on your spiritual wellness and your spiritual well-being.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I feel like wellness is starting to go to like move towards that, which is good because I think it's very, very correct. Like I think
Yeah.
we're see that more and more, that your physical health is like 100% tied into your mental health and your spiritual health. And
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah,
Hmm.
so that's awesome. So in terms of the wellness industry, so your personal experience with the wellness industry, have you found that it is inclusive to Indigenous people, or what's your experience with it, and how have you felt, if you felt included or accepted?
Um, well, my experience, like my personal experience, is that I consider Tribal Trade Co. to be in the wellness industry
Oh,
because a lot of our products are around like smudging and spiritual health. So, um, like yes, we sell like moccasins and like fashion stuff, but what the really like forefront of where people come to us for is like for smudging, and that is like the act of purifying your mind, body, and spirit, and connecting with the creator and stuff. So I, of more than any industry, I would say we are like for sure in the wellness industry, spiritual wellness.
uh-huh.
Um, and I guess so like our sort of mission is like to support people on their journey to spiritual wellness. Um, and like the medicine wheel teaching, I don't know if how familiar you are with that, but we have stuff on our site and on our YouTube channel, but it teaches us that all the states of being, like I said before, spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental, are connected and dependent on each other. Um, so I guess the the way that the the wellness industry as of now could be more inclusive, or whether it is inclusive to Indigenous people, would be completely dependent on who you're asking. um, but yeah, I think it totally depends on the business you're talking about. Like I wouldn't say the whole industry is one way or the other. I think it's like depends on the business and the people behind those businesses and what they're representing and what they're putting out there and how like educated they are, how accepting they are. Yeah, you can't really group everyone together.
No, that's a really good point. I love that answer, actually. It's making me kind of rethink some things in my own business,
Good.
but which is good. That's
Yeah.
why you're here. Um, what was my next question? Okay, so if you could give, um, I guess, wellness community as a whole some advice. I think we're kind of already sort of teetering on like the spiritual wellness, but
Mhm.
maybe if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that, on what advice would you give people working in the wellness industry right now?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely educate yourself on what the real history of Canada is, because it's very challenging. It puts like I don't know, like Indigenous people, like I don't want to group everyone together, and not everyone has the same opinion, because there's a whole spectrum of opinions. There's people that are super advocates and like like almost borderline like angry, and then there's people that are um like ignorant to their own culture, and they're just like, yay Canada Day, because like they just like it's fun, and like that's fine too. Like like nothing is like no one along that spectrum is wrong or anything. It's your own like whatever makes you feel good. But yeah, yeah, so what was I saying? So I guess like to if you want to be more inclusive, like as a wellness business, a good way to do that would be like the truth, like so learning the truth about the country's existence, so where like how Canada was founded, and um, acknowledging that and knowing that, because then if you do have like a customer, someone come in and like you say something to upset them because you're ignorant to learn about something that is the truth of the country's history, then that's not going to go over so well, and they're not going to feel comfortable in your space likely.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had that happen, but depending on the person, like I have experienced it so much that I'm kind of just like, I'm not going to hold it against you because like you were taught the wrong thing in school and that's not your fault. But there's lots of people that like become like hating like certain people because of it. So it totally depends. But just to be careful, educate yourself. And I've actually seen some businesses, like not specifically in wellness, but some businesses that have kind of taken a bold stance on this, and they have done things like they've posted like cancel Canada Day, like we're
Mhm.
celebrating oppression of Indigenous people, like what are we doing kind of thing,
Yeah.
instead of just being ignorant and like celebrating it and
Yeah.
not telling people they shouldn't. Like if it like I'm just saying that if your intention, if like you really, if it's important to you to be inclusive as possible and be open to Indigenous people in your community, then that would really send a really strong message by um, thinking about what you're celebrating and just like educating yourself. That's all.
Yeah. I think a common theme is the education piece, and it's yeah. I
Yeah.
think we all need to continue educating yourself and keep learning. So I totally agree with that, and you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a priority to you too. So
Yeah.
um, I love that. I love that advice. Um, okay, so you kind of already my next question, which was for myself and other wellness brands, where's the best place for us to start to become more inclusive? So obviously the education piece is huge. If there's anything else you wanted to add, feel free, or I can move on to the next question.
Um, That's so funny because I've been asked this question a lot in the last few weeks. Like, oh, where can we find information about this? So it makes me think I need to create some kind of like business toolkit or guide or something for business. um, yeah, it's always on my mind. Like, what can I create?
Yeah,
But seriously, you can start by like checking out our YouTube channel or like just the website. So we have lots of resources on learning stuff like that. But yeah, because there's lots of information. It's just you need to just search for it, and lots of people like don't because it's like it's not a fun thing to think about or talk about. Like it's like a dark like history. So it's yeah, you have to kind of put yourself in a space that is not always the nicest and brightest space. So yeah.
yeah, but yeah, like it's so true, and that's what deters so many people, like including
Hmm.
myself. Like that's probably why it's taken me this long to finally like be wanting to face the truth. But I guess knowing that coming out on the other side, it is better. Like you're a better person, and it's helping the greater good. So
Hmm.
just
Well,
having
when I was even making those videos, I asked myself a million times, should I like this feels not good. Like I like when I was doing the videos, it's like I don't feel good doing this. But then I was like, okay, but people are it's gonna like I just need to do it and like try and like we'll see. And then they actually like the feedback I've got is amazing. So I'm glad I actually went through with it. But I filmed those videos in like November, and then I just like finally got around to publishing them. I would just do other ones and schedule them sooner because
yeah,
I was kind of like afraid to post them. But oh
yeah.
well.
Well, yeah, they were super helpful. Like I love them. So I'm glad that you
Thank
did.
you.
Um, what was my next question? Oh yeah. So can you, speaking of your business and your online marketing tools, can you tell us more about both of your businesses and just kind of give us a lowdown on that?
Right. Yeah. So kind of funny. Like my marketing business is kind of like riding on the coattails of Tribal Trade Co. right now. Just because like I'm not actively promoting it at all. I recently had a baby, so
Congratulations.
I've been thanks. Yeah. So like when I found out I was pregnant, I because I had a really long, like hard journey with infertility. So I was when I was going through that whole journey, my coping mechanism was like to work. So I was just like totally like working nonstop. And
Mm-hmm.
then like I was doing both these businesses like nonstop, just producing content for both of them. And then once I got pregnant, I was like, holy shit, I'm actually pregnant. I'm going to have a child and I need to make more money, or not make more money, but like put like double down on like a business that is established. My marketing one wasn't really so much. So I kind of just like put that YouTube channel on the back burner a little bit, and have been just like using all of the marketing knowledge that I have to really just like push Tribal Trade Co. And then I've found that since I've done that and have just been like executing things that I know instead of talking about things like
Mm.
through the marketing channel, that I'm getting more inquiries for clients than ever before,
Oh,
because I'm just like doing it and like showing like this is how it's done instead of like talking about how it's done. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how that kind of that how that has played out. Um, but yeah, I'm not actively promoting my marketing business. Yeah.
no, that's awesome. I feel like our stories are like very similar, like eerily similar, because
Yeah. And I still have my guides. Like I still
yeah.
have my lead magnet. So for like the marketing business, I have like a digital marketing, like small business digital marketing guide.
Mm.
And that's still up. Like you can go download that if that's something you're interested in. And I have a starter or a like entrepreneurship startup toolkit that is another freebie, like a free resource that is available on my website, on like mallorygraham.com. But the like I'm really focusing on putting together resources for Tribal Trade Co. right now, because I'm finding that like people are just eating it up. Like they're really like, oh, like they want to learn so much more about the Indigenous culture and the teachings and stuff. And so there's just so much like demand for that information that like we have the smudging guide, which is available on the website, the medicine wheel poster, like a free PDF poster that's available on our site too. And we have a couple others that are in the works, as well as like our YouTube channel, free resources, and the blog, free resources too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was listening to your podcast with Flow Spa a few months ago, and yeah, I heard that you like your story about how you decided to focus more on the Tribal Trade Co. and kind of rebrand it, and that it was like really helpful to do that for your other business.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. I think that's also just like really interesting and like maybe a good takeaway for anybody that's doing like business themselves or wants to
Mm-hmm.
go into something like marketing. Like if you can show that your own business is working, it's like such a good like vouch for your your skill set, right? If that makes
Yeah, well,
sense.
that's what personal branding is all about, right? Like if you're trying to sell like how you know marketing, then market yourself. Like show
Yeah,
how well you can market by marketing yourself and using the social media channels to do that for just like your own self as a product, because your own self and what people think of you, that's a brand. So, um,
yeah,
yeah.
that's really cool. Um, so my second last question. So obviously, like you are super inspiring. Your work is really inspiring, and what you're doing for
Thank you.
yeah, the Indigenous community is just super inspiring. So I know you have a small baby at home. So how do you stay motivated and inspired to keep working and to keep putting all this awesome content out there?
Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much for that. What I would say, so this is something that I talk about with my friend RJ from Flow Spa all the time, is that like he talks about flow state. And when you're doing something that you love and like time kind of doesn't exist. So I think that like if people are having a hard time like being motivated and how to like get motivation and things like that, think about what you're doing, because if you're doing what you love, you won't need to find motivation to do it because it's so easy and it's so enjoyable that it's not hard. It's just like natural. So I think that finding that thing that you love and feels so good to do, it's that's the key. And then you don't need to you just like get inspiration from continuing to do it. So it kind of builds on itself, right? Would you not think that that makes sense? Does that work for you?
Oh my God, yeah. Like
Yeah.
you have to like hold me back from working because I just like I
Yeah.
because I love it so much. And it's
Yeah.
just it's so right because I have been in jobs where I haven't loved the work and it's like pulling teeth to do it.
Hmm.
Whereas like you said, when you're in your flow state or when you're doing something you love, it's just like I like wake up excited to do it. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that has to do a lot with the entrepreneurship too, I feel like. It just might be like our breed as people. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think everyone can be an entrepreneur. I think every person, like to some degree, like whether it's like a small side thing or like anything like that, like really finding and focusing on what you love and just continuing to do it
Mm,
is like it'll just like change your life.
yeah, it's so true. That's awesome. So, what would you say true wellness means to you?
Um, for me, wellness is balance, as well as love for yourself. So self-love, that's like the ultimate wellness, in my opinion. So whatever um, that means to you, as long as you love yourself, that's then you're well and you're good and you're healthy and happy, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. And that I think can be one of the hardest struggles for people is liking, like even liking themselves.
Yes.
So, um, yeah, I think what you're saying though is like it's so important to just continue to work on yourself, and that's where you're gonna find that wellness. So that's
Hmm.
so where can people find more about you? Where can they follow you? Where can they support you? Yeah, send us all your channels and your websites, etc.
Okay. You can learn more about me on Tribal Trade Co. website. All the videos are on there, the blogs. Our YouTube channel is like where we're really focusing right now. So if you're wanting to support us at all, if you even like me a little bit,
Yeah.
please please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe because as more people subscribe to our YouTube channel, that tells YouTube that our content is worth showing to more people, and then more people will learn about the Indigenous culture and there'll be less ignorance and more love around the world. So yeah, if you're at all interested in anything that we talk about on the YouTube videos, you'll find links to the relevant freebies on those videos. So you'll see in the descriptions links to download the smudging guide and the medicine wheel poster. If that's kind of where your eyes go, that then you'll find the freebies and the resources that you can download there. But yeah, please subscribe if that's something that you like to. If you watch YouTube videos, if you don't, um, you can still watch like smaller versions of the videos on Facebook. So like us on Facebook or follow us or whatever that button is, and and on Instagram. So I'm right now I'm on like Mallory C. Graham, like my personal one, but the Tribal Trade Co. Instagram as well. So yeah, that's how you can support us. And if you have any questions or anything, send me a message on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and I'm pretty open. I respond to them all. So yeah, that's all.
Cool.
And I'm so happy that you asked me to be on here. And I haven't done an Instagram live like I do Facebook lives all the time,
Yeah.
like a few times a week. But the the Instagram is like I just haven't I don't know, haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of gravitate towards one or the other. Like, I rarely do Facebook lives, but I feel like I'm always on Instagram live, so it's kind of funny how that works out.
Maybe it's something to do with the fact that I can't connect.
Yeah, that could be it. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we were able to do this, and I'm glad it worked out. And thank you so much for being here because, yeah, I've learned so much from you already, and I'm excited to learn more. I think I've already subscribed to your channels, but I'm gonna go watch more about the smudging. I'm really interested to learn more about that.
Oh, you should. It's amazing.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah, it's a whole new world.
yeah. Awesome. Well,
Great. Well, thank you so much for
yeah.
having me on here.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you for being here, and have a really
Okay.
good night.
Okay, you too.
Thanks.
Good
See ya.
night.
Okay.